Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Day After podcast.
What is up, everyone? It is I, Ryan Neo Wayne, with the Joe King, and we are finishing up our winners ranking. We did 50 through 26 last episode, where Joe just tried to yell at me for like 3 hours, and then Joe's going to try to yell at me for two
I
hours.
yelled at you for like 20 minutes collectively. It just felt like a long time.
And he tried to bitch at, in another group chat unrelated. He started to scorn me and
Because
going to sing.
you started being upset about how I was not liking your ranking, so I had to defend myself.
I have to defend my right. Whatever. We're gonna do new. We have new shit to argue about this episode.
Yeah. Let's just get right into it with the first thing that I'm gonna bitch about. And you already know it's coming.
It honestly, it's understandable.
Yeah. We got Boston Rob Mariano, and that is not a typo. That is Ryan at number 42, and PS previously ranked at 19 for Ryan. Um, so yeah, overall ranked last time at number 13. But Ryan, for some reason, ranked Rob at number 42 this time. Go ahead, Ryan.
All right. So yes, he did have a very dominant win and everything. And when I made this list, I did forget about that of like all he accomplished during that. But I think it's part of the thing. I love how you have to even put down there previously ranked in.
I felt like it was necessary because it is so shocking.
Uh, But I think the thing is, it was like he, I don't want to say he won on easy mode, but like from everything that I've heard about it, it was like that season was almost geared toward Boston Rob to win. And so like, it was like, all right, he still won. It was cool. And then he did eventually do it on his fourth try. Like those were things that put it low for me. Should have been this low? Hell no. I'll be honest, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
Yeah,
I
but
will admit that.
I'll say this. So I think where he lands is a respectable if you really don't like Boston Rob. Like 25, if you came in with a 25, I would be like, you know what, I understand that. Like, you don't really like him. There is all the factors of him being on essentially a newbie cast. But the thing is, he's the only captain to win a season of Survivor as a captain. You
This is
can
very true.
you can blame the cast all you want, but it's not easy for a captain to win against a bunch of newbies. Newbies, when you're on with a captain, they want the newbies usually to win, even if the captain plays a better game. Like a lot of times that ends up happening. So he plays a very dominant game, completely controlled. It's a bad season, and I think that's why you also probably were just like, I don't really like Redemption Island, so I'm gonna put him lower. But just in terms of domination, it's a top three game in that aspect. I mean, I'll even say like I had him in my previous list at number three, but I've taken a lot more. Like I've knocked him down a lot more because of the whole took him a four times, the cast and all that stuff. But it's still one of the more impressive, just like from start to finish, how you win Survivor kind of games.
Now, Joe, if you think about it, math wise, he both downgraded for us at the same degree, if you know what I mean. It's like a little bit more than double. If anything, he fell down a lot for you.
He's still in the top 10. You have him in the bottom 10 winners. you think you
And I do admit that was a mistake, but
Yeah, I absolutely I ranked him lower. But like I have Kim Spradlin, who I think plays a very similar game to Boston Rob. I have her just one spot higher because I also am like she played with a pretty bad cast of players. Um, kind of runs it through. It's not a very good season, but it's a very dominating game, and so I have it essentially. I have them like right next to each other because they are pretty close. I rank Kim slightly ahead because of all those factors we said about it was Kim's first game. There wasn't, her going up against a bunch of newbies. But overall, yeah, I mean, you have him at 42. That's something. Now I will give you this. I will give you this. I believe it was Will on the specialist in their winner ranking put Boston Rob at 43. And
See, I could be
he got fucking dragged through the coals by even someone who doesn't like Boston Rob. So
just just know, Joe, I could be a lot worse. Just remember that.
I mean,
I could put Gabon in my top 10. I could rank him at 43.
Oh my god. But like I said though, I actually like 25 is the lowest in terms of what I would say is like a respectable placement to put Boston Rob in a winner ranking. So he ends up falling like right in the parameters where I'm like, okay, I get that. So good thing you didn't put him 43 because maybe he would have fallen off.
I can't do that math right now, but yeah.
I can't even tell you what number 26 had. So in terms of
I could look it up as we talk about the next person.
It's fine. It's fine. Let's move on to one of your favorites, Rachel Lamont.
So, Joe, why is she this low for you?
Because there's a lot of factors that were completely luck based that got her into her win. Challenges also, I think this cast was a pretty weak in terms of challenges, and it really benefited her. I think there's a lot of other casts where she doesn't get to go on a crazy immunity run in the end game stretches. I think a lot of seasons she's not getting a fry idol in the auction. That just kind of like there's no indication for it. She gets screwed in the earn the merge, or not the earn the merge. It's the double where like only her group basically goes, and it's going to be her. But then luckily, Soul gets a safety without power advantage that he has to give to someone on that tribe. She's on a tribe full of only of her and a bunch of blue tribe members. Obviously, Soul's going to give it to her. So there's a few factors where it's like, wow, you needed all of this extra things that was beyond your control to be able to win. She also has, I would say, one of the worst final tribal council performances of any winner in the new era. Like she almost blows it, and she she thinks going into the voting that she blew it at final tribal. Like she has gone on record and said that.
So the reason why I have her high up, one, she did do it. She did do the thing. She won 4 individual immunities. I will say, and this is, I'm going to open up this can of worms and this barrage of insults from you, but in a similar vein to Chris Underwood, yes, he had, she had all that going against her at Final Tribal Council because, people would have been like, this was just luck. You got that. You got this. Without that, would you have made it to the end? She was able to defy that and was still able to win. She took down her rival. She played the game well. She was like in a power position early on in her tribe. Granted, that all shifted and she got blindsided. But she was able to pivot from that and kind of play from this like middle ground area and then kind of like be, have her own strength and have for a way of going through this game. So I put her at 11. Could some of this be recency bias? Maybe, but also I just love 47 for that boot order.
Is that that's your big reason? Is you like that season, so you're gonna put her higher? That's what I'm getting from this. Um,
No.
also, I mean, she's not even involved in the biggest blind side of the season, Operation Italy.
It's pronounced the Italian. Sorry, that is a joke that we've had on the channel. If you
Yeah, so she's not a part of that. I feel like yet again, out of the final three, she does deserve the win. Like, I'm not saying that she doesn't deserve it. She is in the same category for me as a Mike Holloway and Ben Driebergen. Like, they both win their seasons. They deserve to win in that final three because of like what they technically did on the season. But it is such like one little thing goes differently that they don't win the game. And there's a lot of different factors that go into like if one little thing changed, it's totally different. And I think Rachel is very similar. I do have her ranked higher than those two because I do think she's got better win equity than those two in other seasons. But we do see in this season she needs to roll the lucky dice multiple times to get herself this win.
I feel like this would have been worse if I put her in the top 10.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think 11 is definitely egregious. But you know, I'm just hoping that by the next time we do this, you understand your faults.
Maybe. I can guarantee you Boston Rob won't be that low.
Yeah,
I don't know. Unless there are 10 really great winners, that he's not going to be that low.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Moving on next to number 23, we have Wendell Holland.
All right. So both of us kind of got him. Like for me, it was like middle of the pack. I really enjoyed his game. And then like it's like him and Dom, and it's like these two, and then it's like they're working together, but also they know they can't go to the end with each other, and then no one else wants to target them.
Yeah.
But like Wendell's likability, and then he's the first winner of Survivor that won by a tiebreaker, by a tie-breaking vote. As in the third member of the third finalist becomes a member of the jury and then votes for the winner. He's the first and only person for that to happen to. But yeah, he had challenge prowess. He had good social game as well. I think he's a pretty well-rounded individual.
Yeah. I have him in there's like this little block of people in the 20s that I think are kind of not entertaining television personalities, but they win Survivor, I would say, in more situations than a lot of others, than a lot of these other winners. And I think Wendell is in that category. I don't think like I'm not excited to see Wendell play, but I know that he's going to do well on most seasons that he enters. So like if he comes if his first time is on David versus Goliath, I bet you he makes it pretty far on that season. Edge of Extinction, same. Like I like if you put him into a lot of seasons, I think he's going to typically make it to the jury and have a chance to be in with good people to make it very deep into the game. Most situations. It's just not exactly super entertaining to watch. Also, it's not great to be the winner in a tie vote situation, the only one, because that means that you are the closest person to losing the game.
That is fair. It's something that helps them stick out. I don't know. It's like
it sticks out, but like in terms of like game dominance, it's not something that you can like hang your hat on.
That is pretty. That's a fair statement. I mean, like, I feel like I would have to watch Ghost Island again because it is one of those things where, because the two times I've watched it, One, I had a lot of shit going on and I barely remembered the season. The second time, I watched it all in one day because I had COVID
Mhm.
and I wanted to watch it all because that's just what I did during COVID. I did a season per day, basically. Um, yeah, so I feel like I need to give that another shot because, like, right now, all I really know of Wendell or like my interactions of Wendell has mostly been through the Bryson wins, that EOS and stuff. So,
Yeah.
like, talking through that and all,
Mhm.
because like that's what I remember most. And then also the challenge situation where he didn't confirm, he didn't call over Jeff, and he lost the challenge. And then yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, he did his job and he ended up winning. I was definitely also a Dom fan. I was rooting for Dominic more there. Um, just
That's fair.
unfortunate, I think Dominic was definitely. I mean, he was the strategic element, but that doesn't always translate to jury votes. Um, so so yeah, no, I mean, like it's fair. I think this is a pretty good ranking for him, honestly, at number 23. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on next to number 22, we have Kyle Frazier, who is also very similar, in my opinion, to Wendell in terms of I think he can be on a lot of seasons and do very well. Just not, he's not very entertaining to watch, but he's going to do pretty well.
I I wouldn't say he's not very entertaining.
What
I
give me
think
a,
he's
what's a confessional? Give me a confessional that he gave that was like super memorable.
when he was talking about his backstory of like, how well, I wouldn't say it was a confessional. It was more so like one of the moments I really enjoyed was like him talking about his past. I mean, how like he used to be, like troubled and stuff like that, but he turned his life around and then got into law and
Can
everything.
you remember how he phrased it?
No.
That's what I'm saying. A memorable person, you're gonna have catchphrases. You're gonna have like being people will
He
be able
did
to
have a catchphrase
him and
because I'm
Camilla
working with Camilla and nobody knows
in
about
a
it.
secret alliance. And guess what? That was the fucking worst storyline that was Survivor has seen in years, Ryan. In years.
I all right. So and I talked this a little bit with Joe when he was just rage baiting in this one group chat that we're in. Uh so Kyle is like for all intents and purposes, he's in a very similar spot for both of us. Just a little you put him like very middle in the pack. I was like, just shy of like the top 20. Uh the thing is, he was someone that was very like likable. He was able to see who was around him and kind of adapt. He was like, all right, there's the strong group. I'm going to get in good with the strong group. I'm even going to be the third of this, like, because obviously Eva and Joe are doing, like their ride or dies and all of that. And it's like, it's very public ride or die. I'm going to go in as a third. That's fine because, that's part of the strong group. I'm going to form a really good bond with Joe, yeah. And then that's going to be my public ride or die or number one. And then had a secret one in the back, which I thought was very clever. It is something that I have done in org before, and it did help me get the W because some people were thinking of attacking me, but my secret buddy saved my butt.
Yeah.
But no, I think he has this likability factor, and I think that's another reason too. Uh, he has that about him, and I think like that played a huge factor in his winning. And then also like being like, yeah, Camilla, and knowing like when to work with Camilla and be like, has to be done. I'm sorry, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, I mean, he loses very hard to Camilla. Let's say an Aubrey situation happens and Camilla ends up winning Final Four. Like Camilla wins the game.
yeah.
and so I do think and honestly, like I make fun of Mitch all the time for not ever making a move. Mitch probably still beats Kyle in the end because people still liked Mitch and they would have voted for the underdog. Um, so I do think that he does kind of need that final five scenario of Mitch and Camilla going out to be able to win the season. Um, I also am not a huge fan. Like he tried to come in with the storyline of like I'm just a regular average guy, and he's like over 6 feet tall, and he's clearly still a strong guy. It was definitely them trying to tell us a story that wasn't like truthful, and I bet you had Kyle lost this season, I think we would have had. I bet you there are some people who were like, "This guy is like bigger," and like they would have been kind of like cutting in and out about him, talking about stuff like that. So I like,
Well, I mean,
yeah,
like, you got to understand, he was with Muscle Man Chocolate Milk, like, and Joe. It's like,
yeah, yeah,
compared to that,
and
he's
that's what I'm
gonna look.
saying. That's what I'm saying. Like if you put him though on a different season, like let's put him on season 47. Like he's going to look like one of the top guys out there physically, and so he's not going to be able to say that. He does definitely benefit from this season being the way that this season is.
Yeah, and he found his strong group, and like that is another thing. Like there was dominance.
Yeah.
And you do make solid points because that is why he's a little lower. It's like
Mhm.
I get it. If someone
Yeah.
else would have, if the fallen angel would have probably won at the end, maybe you go down a few spots, and then it was like, well, I think yeah, the Mitch because it was very much the strong group against everyone else, but
Mhm.
everyone else never wanted to do anything. So it was things like that where I was like, all right, so he did have it a little easier, but he still had to navigate it and everything. But yeah, I like Kyle. I hope he comes back. Because like obviously he was gone way too soon in Winners at or not Winners at War, Survivor 50.
I genuinely think him being medevac is great for his survivor legacy because I think it's going to mean that he can come back and not let 50 tarnish him by being voted out. Like
That is fair.
I genuinely think that might have been like a blessing in disguise.
I don't know. I'm like it always sucks losing someone that you enjoy early. I don't care. Like like
Mm,
I would say medevac is always worse because it's like, that's why I will say yes, he will have an easier time when he re-enters the game. But like it's tough to say what would have happened in 50 because obviously he got medevac and that had ripple effects throughout everything. But
yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Yep. Okay, moving on next to number 21, we have Kenzie Petty.
All right. Um, talk about underdog. She came in a position where she probably would have been screwed if they lost one more challenge. Well, I don't know. It seemed like it, but at the same time, she was really good with Tiff. But this was also before Q. Like Q was kind of
Yeah.
running things, and then Tiff had the idol, and there's like and both of them. Tiff was very much the focal point of this.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, what I liked about her, one, she had a very great social game. To the point where like the only vote she got was by accident. She was able to navigate stuff and then also seamlessly enter these groups. And then also be like, well, okay, like Q's acting up. She was good at being able to like distance herself from like people that she was like really close with, as well, and able to like navigate and find her groove and all that stuff. Um, I think the sheer luck she came from a disaster tribe and ending up winning, I think boosts her up for me. And then I think another thing is she did beat out Charlie. Sometimes I'm like, well, who did they beat out? That might play a factor in their ranking. And while I was placing her, that was a thought.
See, now her being Charlie actually is why she's lower on my list
Really?
because of what the whole Maria situation happened. Because Maria saw the fire in Kenzie's eyes and fire making. And that's why she voted for Kenzie. Not because Charlie blindsided her at 5, even though that's what Maria also wanted to do to Charlie. No, no, no. It's because she saw the fire in Kenzie's eyes, which is a huge just lie because she doesn't want to actually say what really happened.
I'm pretty sure that's also the reflection of the fire she made, but
Yeah. Yeah. So because Ben has also gone on record that had it been a tie, he votes for Charlie to win. So and Maria was Charlie's number one. They had played the game together, pretty much the whole time. And to be bitter that you were the one to get taken out at 5. I do hold that as like a huge reason why Kenzie wins is not because Kenzie necessarily played a super dominant game or this amazing game. It is a factor to a juror was very bitter, and it happened to be a juror that really matters.
how dare you say this about the mermaid dragon?
Mermaid Dragon. And as you were saying, if they lose again, Kenzie does go because at this point, Q and Tiff were the number ones. They were the closest to. And so it doesn't really happen until the Tevin thing when Tiffany tries to really separate herself from Q and is against him at that point. So there's a lot of things where like I don't think she ever really had like dominant control of this game. Like she wasn't the one really calling shots. She had a good social game, and that's why she's not in the bottom part because she does do pretty good, and I think she's typically going to do pretty well on most seasons. But there are just a few factors where it's like, ooh, one little thing goes a little differently, and you're not winning this game.
I like her.
Okay, moving on
It
next
also
to
could be, you know, season 46 is also my favorite new era season, so that
yeah.
plays a factor. But yes, I
Yeah.
do admit there are a lot of things where, oh, if this happened, she might have been screwed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The specialist had her in the collective list in the bottom 10.
No, that's evil.
Yeah. uh okay, moving on next to number 20, we have Aubrey Bracco, newest winner.
All right. Here's why I put her at number 10. I wouldn't say it's necessarily recency bias. I just want to say that it's mostly of like what she had to go through in this game. And by go through is like there was a lot of bullshit thrown into that season. She also had to survive, in theory, more eliminations than others. She had to go through the target of having the boomerang idol. She had a rival. She did take her down. And then she didn't have to be like Challenge Beast and win all the things. She won the one she had to and then totally put a wrench. She made it to the end with the right people. Even if they weren't like her people, they still did. Um, and it's like also the fitting nature of like she's always been a great player. Now, does that mean like, I'm taking Mizzou in all her games up until this point, and that's why she's in top 10? Not necessarily. But she went into the season and, like she was always like going to be someone to kind of like look after and stuff. But she was good about, you know, taking down her threat level to the point where I was like, oh, it was there. Aubrey's name was always mentioned, but they never were like Aubrey's not the immediate threat. So she always hovered in that point, and then was also one of the main reasons why Ozzy went home with the idol in his pocket, despite his premonition. She could have definitely been edited more into that season and had a better edit, especially in the early portions, because Aubrey didn't really shine until like I would say like 2/3 way of this season. But yeah.
Now,
Um,
do you think that the reason she couldn't be edited more is because she didn't really do anything until the end, where it kind of just factored into her being able to kind of make herself to the end? Because at I mean, especially when it gets to final seven, like she's like guaranteed final four at that point, because you got Devin, Suri, and Tiffany, who are huge threats in front of her, that you can't let either of them get to the end. um so I think a lot of that Mario Party stuff that happens in the middle of the season really detracts from a win. I think the crazier and twist heavy a season is, like, the worse a winner can really kind of be from it, because it means that in order for them to win, they had to have essentially lucked out from how the season was formatted to begin with. Um, and also, if she goes to one pre-merge tribal, she goes home. In either of the figurations of her tribes, she goes to tribal council, she goes home. Um, so I just can't really see how someone who is going to be a top 10 winner if you're going home in a pre-merge if you ever go to tribal council. Um, I know that, like, I like Aubrey. Like, this about me. Like, Aubrey is one of my favorite players. This is her worst game. Besides Ends of Extinction, when she goes out super early. Like, this is the worst game of her making a deep run. It ends up being her winning game because she got some motion from Etsy. Like, that's her $1 million decision right there. Is
yeah.
getting some motion from Etsy. And besides that, though, she has essentially no control or agency on the game. She's kind of just hoping that other people keep her around, which, yet again, is a Sandra Diaz Twine strategy, and people love Sandra Diaz Twine, but I don't really fully respect it as like a gameplay. Like if I'm ranking winners by like how well they dominated the season, I'm not respecting that kind of game. I'm going to respect the people who made the decisions, who made the right moves at the right time. That maybe might have even been a more difficult or tough decision. They're still able to do it. Aubrey doesn't really do that on the season. She kind of just gets the end with essentially two people who, I mean, a lot of people weren't voting for them. Like, Jonathan's only winning the season in a specific Joe and Rizzo final three situation with him. Like, that was his only win equity. Joe had no win equity. It really required a very like good situation where all this crazy stuff happened, and now we're at final seven. Let's finally play. But guess what? We got three people who are still here, who have to go out first. Aubrey, we're gonna hopefully beat you at final four. Like, good on her winning final four. But if it's not Samotion, she goes home.
I stand by my stuff.
Okay, I guarantee you, though, this is going to go down for you in years.
Potentially. I'm just gonna make it number 10 out of spite, Joe, no matter what happens.
I know, right? Now you're just gonna hate it. I am.
Even if there's a fire.
Okay, well, let's move on next to number 19. We got Natalie Anderson.
Yes. I've always liked Natalie Anderson. I think she's very hardcore gamer. I will say I did like her early on, like in Traders. I don't know. I didn't like her as Traders much. I felt like she was a little too aggressive in that game. But in this one season, like she was definitely determined, and she found her way, she found her people. She was one of the people who definitely knew how to play the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think she's like another one of those contestants where I think they are very well rounded. You can get people to go behind to get behind her and be like, okay, yeah, let's do this. She is she is a challenge threat. I don't know how much that really compared to this. I mean, like, she also was able to barter with Jeff. Now, I know Jeff is a pretty stingy in his year, but like she was like, I'll drop out this challenge, but I'm not going to do it for free. I need pizza, I need wings, and all that. But yeah, and despite losing her duo very early in this game,
Mhm.
as in episode one, I think she was able to navigate that. And then, if anything, I think that helped her out a little. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I think pretty solid game. I mean, especially end game wise, it's definitely one of the stronger stretches of end game where she really kind of lines up just the situation for her to win very easily. So very strong win. But yeah. I mean, she's at number 17. I feel like this is definitely one of those where I'm just like, yeah. I mean, she deserved to win. Very strong. How many votes did she not receive? She only didn't receive like two or something, I think.
it's been a while,
Yeah.
so I have not.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I think it might have just been actually no, because I think Jacqueline received two because what was his name? I'm blanking, who didn't like Missy, and so she was like, you're an evil stepmother, and so he voted
Was it Reed?
Reed. Yeah, Reed I think voted Jacqueline to make sure that Missy didn't win or get second place. Um
Yeah, because
so
I know obviously Baylor is gonna vote for her mom, like no ifs, ands, or buts.
yeah. So essentially Natalie gets all the jury votes besides the one that wasn't tied to a loved one. Um
Yeah,
so yeah.
because she had no loved one.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, solid win. Don't know what else to say here at 19. Okay. Moving on next to number 18, we got Tyson, the
I'm a
other
little
blood versus
surprised
water.
we both. This is one where we were like, because this is like
Mhm.
there are some where it's like, all right, if they're lower in the pack or higher in the pack, it's more likely that we're going to place them. But this is, we both decided to put him at 19 here.
Yeah.
I am a big Tyson fan. I will say one of the things like that did kind of is like the blood try or like the the loved ones apart from Sierra near the end and like Hayden, a lot of them had a lot of trouble with this game finding their footing. I mean, like I'll give points to Vetus, but Vetus was also very likable and he was able to get that down.
Mhm.
But yeah, so he is a dominant winner, but it's also like I feel like I don't know, like I I don't know why I ranked him at 19 because I do like him, but I feel like maybe it was because it was a little easier for him this time around. And then also,
Mhm.
even on the favorites, you had some people that were a little questionable.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe because it was, I mean, the season is still great. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. But I think like this was like Tyson came out, and then I like his story of like, oh, his loved one ended out early, and then he's like, all right, he locked in, and then he knew what he had to do. And
Yeah.
still was able to keep, like his like kind of like dry, fun, like sarcastic humor as well.
Yeah. He is low, one of the huge lower than what he probably should be. Like he plays a very dominant game, and which maybe he should, like, in that theory, be high. But the thing is, it is that rock draw, and he doesn't play an idle. Like he goes and does the rocks. um like he could have easily been taken out from that situation when he had safety, and it works out for him, but it is definitely kind of like a ooh, little bit of mistake there. I also think if you look at the final six, he does not have great win equity in that final six. I think he kind of needs to be sitting with the people he's sitting next to.
Yeah.
So and there's a lot of winners like that. We've now been over a lot of winners. That's a complaint with I have with a lot of winners. Sometimes they just get the doomsday scenario in a way where it's just like, okay, all the big threats just get taken out right there, and this person just happens to be left with the right people at that point. Um,
Yeah. If you even take in Tina,
yeah.
Tina makes it to the end. Tina wins. Like,
100%.
yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
I like Tyson, and I don't think he goes on. He's still doing the reality comp circus. He's was on House of Villains. I don't know how well he did on House of Villains.
I don't think he won. I think he went out near the end, but not like the finale.
Yeah, I did like him on the Challenge USA, though I do
Mhm.
think I don't like the way he went out, even though he made it to the finale.
Yeah, it kind of ruined, I think, Tyson and Dom's chances. Like, I think like those two especially, I was just kind of like, oh, that's a shitty way for them to be out of this show.
Well, because like, all right, for those who haven't watched USA season one, spoiler alert in three, two, one of the final challenges is Sudoku, and it was freezing cold. And Sudoku is not a like basically it was like it was freezing cold, like people even like quit because like the cold was too much, and then he had pieces left and he could not solve it, and so he was like, screw this, and then he decided to drop out from there,
Mhm. Yeah.
which did kind of suck because that was a dominant game too.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that they shouldn't have had a game like Sudoku be one of the final puzzles. I think Sudoku is one of those games that is so like you have to know Sudoku to like be able to do Sudoku, like that many squares of Sudoku. So I do think that that's a little bit on the game maker's fault.
I will also say it's not as interesting to watch as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Like there's so many other puzzles that you can do besides Sudoku. Like, come
Yeah,
on. Okay, moving on next to number 17, we got Earl Cole.
I think when it was coming to the higher up ones, yeah, I think Earl played almost the first perfect game.
Yeah.
Um, he did win all the jury votes. He is the first person to ever have done that.
Mhm.
But like Earl just had win equity from the beginning. It's a
Mhm.
little crazy that he did win, because I think it is because Fiji, the contestants, just most of them did not know what the hell they were doing. But Earl was like, it's like him and Yao Man that like really, really like made Fiji watchable.
Mhm.
I mean, there are some like highlights here and there. Like I think Rocky is like a good like B tier protagonist, antagonist. I like.
Get ready for the new Rocky on season 52.
Oh, is that one of the? I haven't looked at the leaks yet. They haven't been popping up on my feed as much.
Yeah, they've been coming out like one at a time, which is very strange.
Uh, but it's like I do think this, but like for Earl, it is kind of
Mhm.
crazy because he was a last minute addition, like,
Yeah.
which is nut. And from what I understand, he never really saw the show.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he was a
was a
recruit, just like the thing is, just like the rest of this cast. He was essentially a recruit.
yeah, and then like he ends up dominating, and I think there is something that is impressive about not knowing the game and then being able to win as a result. Because you're not tied to like formulas and stuff of how it is in the past, but you also don't have the disadvantages. You also may not know like the things to stay away from. However, Earl did navigate it pretty well, albeit from a cast where there wasn't a whole lot of great players, but he still did it and he made
Mhm.
survivor history.
Yeah. Well, also there just wasn't like a lot to adapt. Whereas nowadays there's so many different kinds of advantages you got to be aware of. Back then, I mean, season 14, there when he was on the show, he only knew about super idols essentially. Like,
Yeah.
and that changed to a regular idol on the season.
Yes.
So it's not like he had too much to go in terms of that. It really just all boiled down to at this period of time, the social game and getting yourself into the right numbers and managing to make sure that you're the closest with the people as you progress through the game. um I mean, I think that's why the teens are typically considered a pretty golden era. There's a lot of players who do not care about the game or like the history of Survivor at this point. They are just there for a job, and that is to win $1 million. That is just give me this $1 million. I'm gonna be bitter. I'm gonna cut throats. There's a lot of that stuff going on. Nowadays everyone just wants to be a super fan of the game and be an icon in the Mount Rushmore.
Well, I mean,
uh
like with the reality comp circuit and stuff like that, because that is a thing where it's like, well, you can be like a little micro celebrity within that niche. We know a few people where I'm like, like that have been on that show and have like a following because of it.
you do a reality comp a year, that can be your job. And if you win one of them, like a big one, like you're set for the next few years.
If you're iconic, you can open up a cameo. I mean, like I
Yeah,
already have a cameo, but like
yeah,
if you want a cameo from me,
yeah. Ask for feet pics.
it depends on how much you offer. And by that, I mean it would be in the hundreds
Yeah, it's
or
the it's
thousands.
premium.
It is luxury, not just premium luxury, because I am grossed out by feet. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
I know you always said
actually,
so about
no. The
Dia's
first time I
toes.
opened up the Cameo, my first bit of money was someone asked me for they sent me a message because you can send messages on there, and they spent $1.50 basically to be like, "Can I see your feet?" I'm like, "No," for a lot of reasons. Also, I just had surgery, like on
you
my feet. Those are not going to be enjoyable for anyone.
you don't know though.
Anywho, let's get off that topic and talk more about Survivor.
Yeah. Well, Survivor's all about having good feet, right? I really hope that D's next. I can't remember if she's next or 15, but I hope it's D. No, it's Richard
I
Hatch.
think this is oh, it is Hatch.
Yeah.
Did it happen again? We both had him at 18, our 19th and 18th both just aligned.
Yeah, it is
Um,
that is kind of funny.
Richard Richard Hatch, I mean the man who started it all. Like he understood the assignment before I think even Survivor the game makers understood the assignment.
Yeah.
Before they even written it.
Yeah.
Um
They were upset that Richard won. They thought that the show was ruined because the villain who mastermind all of the blind sides of the season won the game.
they didn't vote him out. That's why. And
Yeah.
I mean, no, the man's iconic from start to finish. And then, even did they one of the one of his most memorable moments for me is like at Final Three, he's just like, I don't even need to do this challenge because
Mhm.
it doesn't matter who wins. If you want a shot at winning, both of you, no matter what, will have to take me. And then
Yeah.
ends up winning the winning the game
Yeah.
despite that gamble.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you're in those final three situations and it's the final two, someone is just already locked into going to the end just by pure like, well, it's I can't let this person go. Oh, this other person, I can't let this person go. Um, and it just happened in this season, it worked out for him. Richard Hatch is definitely not a player who could go on to a newer season, I think, and win. I think that he does benefit a lot from being on a cast where he's the only one thinking about the game. Um, so yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
that's the thing.
yeah.
It's tough. I would almost agree with you.
Mhm. What's
It's tough
stopping you?
because I still think he has that dog in him. Now I know that Survivor has not brought him back. Well, there were times where he wasn't able to because of legal reasons. And now I know he was on House of Villains. I don't know how well he did on House of Villains, but I know he was on there. I still feel like it's one of those people where I'm like, he would probably be, if I'm thinking of like old school contestants doing you know, open era now,
Mhm.
Survivor, be like, how well would they fare? Richard would probably be within my top five, if not top three people of like, I would love to see them play again just to see how they do.
Yeah, I think the issue is I think he's too old now to really
Yeah.
be on Survivor. Like when they're bringing back the people from season one now, like they have to bring the people who were in their early to mid 20s. Because now it's just been too long for anyone that was not in that age range.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'll be on Survivor again. But like even if you
He
like
won't.
even if you placed him into the 30s, which is like I guess how I would like view like as a time frame where he could have returned at some point, like a game changers or winners at war even. I do think he would have struggled to win the game. Like he does a lot of antics that are really fun for television, and I was totally fine back then when people weren't thinking about the game, but like now people are going to be thinking about the game and not being super into some of those antics.
And you can't just be naked anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to put on some pink tidy whities.
Pink tidy whities.
Yeah.
Um, maybe a jacket from a fallen contestant,
Yeah,
something like
exactly.
that.
Something to cover it up. Anywho, let's move on to number 15, which I believe is D Valadares.
Ah, yes, D. Who is currently on Big Brother right now?
God, she's so good on it too.
I mean, she came into AHOH, she understood the assignment, and yeah, I'm excited for what the season brings.
Mm,
Yeah, D is fantastic. I think she's one of those people where she's very well rounded. She is good at comms. She's good socially, strategically, as well.
mhm.
And she did pull a little bit of a Katniss Everdeen, where she was like, "Hey, yeah, Austin, we're good," and then threw him under the bus when
Yeah.
it was like, "Oh, like." So I think like yeah, I don't want to be that like that's why she got her win. She did play a very strong dominant game as well, but she understood the assign she knew what she had to do with Final Tribal Council.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I think she's very rootable. I think she's honestly placed lower because she is associated with her feet. And I'm like, I can't, no, no.
She in my opinion definitely is the best winner of the new era. Like I think she really dominates the game in pretty much every facet. People are always like the Reba Ford just dominated the game, it was so easy for her, but like there were times when Austin was trying to make moves and D was like, you're not making the move, I'm stopping your move, and literally like blew up his plan to take out Julie at final 7, and said Emily goes there. And then she then is like, okay, I'm gonna now blindside Drew, I'm not gonna tell Austin about it, I'm gonna blindside him again. Like she was constantly like making sure that she was in the right spot there. The toughest situation
Yeah.
really is at final 5 when Katurah makes maybe the dumbest decision in new era by not voting D because she just doesn't trust Jake, who is making the absolutely right call, right decision, and
Yeah.
she just doesn't want to do it.
I love Jake.
Yeah.
He was like an everyman and he was like, yeah, he constantly wanted to make moves happen, but
No one,
no
no
one
one.
wanted
I,
no one
I,
wanted to give a shot to Mr. O'Kane.
if Jake plays again, I think he's could actually be a good Strider player. People just have to listen to him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
D, I mean, great challenge performer as well, wins a bunch of comps. And yeah, I think just socially and strategically was on kind of a different level than a lot of people.
I agree. And I think the fact that she's found a lot of success outside of Survivor,
Mm.
because I believe she was in the challenge as well.
Yeah.
Um,
I think she made it to the final. Didn't win, but I think she made it to the final.
yeah, she like and now on Big Brother, and I feel like she's someone that can go far. Big Brother can be a bit of a random game because she could get sniped early on due to like
Yeah,
veto or some other malarkey. But
yeah,
I think like yeah, she's a pretty strong player
hmm
overall.
yeah. Okay, moving on next to number 14, we have Denise Stapley. This is, I think, the first person in a top 10 spot to show up.
No, we had Aubrey.
Oh, yeah, that's right. How could I have forgotten?
Honestly, yes. All right. Well, the reason I have her high up is she makes history. She statistically had one of the toughest times to make it to the end because every time you go to tribal council, it is Russian roulette. She came from Disaster Tribe and then went to another tribe where they started losing people. And she was the first ever person, and I think still only person, to have gone to every single tribal council. Um, because there are some people that could have qualified, but they were double elimination rounds. So it's like, oh, well, two tribes went. But Denise had one of the trickiest routes to make it to the end from that. And then was always able to find a way to be like, okay, I don't have to. She had a good ride or die. She also knew where, she also knew her most valuable tool, which is being, like having a number and then also reading people. We saw that from the get go. She knew how to read. She knew, like, she used I mean, psychiatrist is one of it doesn't matter what psychiatrist or therapist you are. If you out on the island, you have a huge advantage because you can read people very easily. And she
Mhm.
does.
Yeah, I definitely ranked her lower because I don't think in the season she was really the one controlling a lot of the shots. She definitely gets to benefit from kind of coming into the merge with a low threat level because of the Matt Singh situation. Obviously she manages to get herself to the end, which is great. And like she's not in the super low level because yeah, she goes to all the tribal councils. But I definitely, like I said, I ranked a lot of my lists based off of dominance and control throughout a game. She doesn't really have that too much. I think yeah, I mean, you said like she had a ride or die. She did not really have a ride or die in Malcolm because if she rode to the end with Malcolm, Malcolm wins the game. So
At that point, she knew, but like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But Malcolm, I mean, if he wins that final competition, he wins Denise. He's probably get second place because I think Malcolm would have still taken Denise. Um, and yeah, I think it definitely hinged a lot on like someone like Malcolm should be good in competition. It is kind of mind boggling that he hasn't really won immunity. It's like he has lost a lot of competitions. Um Even though he should, like, you just look at him and he's like he's smart, he's athletic, he should be able to do a lot of that stuff, but he just ended up not being able to do it. But overall, I think Denise, like, if she did more, like that's the thing. She kind of, it just the season kind of panned out for her by how everything played out. Yeah. Anything else?
I was like, it takes a lot to like navigate a lot of what she went through. So like, and I think that's one thing that maybe I have appreciated a little bit. Um, is like there is like she does play, I think, one of the best subtle games. Because like if you're looking at like who also made it to the end too, obviously there's no time machine. People didn't know. Um, she still stands out a lot, but both of those people still did. I mean, they both got a vote at the end. I feel like Denise is a good example of a sleeper threat.
Yeah.
Or
And
I dare
sleeper threats
say,
are totally okay, but for me, top 10, you had to fucking like go crazy to make a top 10.
also, Joe and I just base it off different things. I base it off of not vibes, but like the vibe of the person in general, maybe if I enjoyed them or not.
Yeah, yours is purely Ryan's list is purely who you like. I'm going purely based off of.
I didn't fully say that. If that were truly the case, there would be some winners that would be a little higher.
I mean, you put Danny Boatwright at the bottom. I mean, that's the proof in the pudding right there.
And I stand by it.
As that is your personal opinion, yes. Okay, moving on next to number 13. We have Jam Jam Hiroko, who is I guess the top spot in our new era combined ranking.
Yeah. Um,
Which also we
yeah,
ranked at the
Jam,
same spot.
that's three in this portion. I don't know how many in the other one we did
I don't
actually,
think
but
I don't think many, if any.
if at all.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, you were so mad at me because I didn't rank one person the same as you. You were like the angry kitty that goes bah, 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 bah.
I mean, it's like the most obvious decision that you should have made, but you didn't because you needed to put Danny Boatwright at the bottom.
There were four other people.
Exactly, and that's the problem.
He stands out, and despite it, he still won.
It's not about standing out. It's about what happened in the game. He got
I
voted
don't
out.
fully agree, but here is Jam Jam. So Jam Jam, really strong, really good social game, and it's strategic. Comes from a disaster tribe, ends up getting the W, and then has a pretty solid game throughout in the sense of like he always kind of was in control. Like on the Tika tribe, he knew his people, he knew what he had to do to get the job done, to stay there. And then when we get to the merge, and like I think he encompasses it great in his FTC. You know, like he was like, yeah, anyone who voted for me, I made sure they systematically went in each tribal council afterwards. He's good talker. People know he is a threat, but also he's good at like playing it off a little bit because he's just a charming guy. It's just like he's fun to be around. And I think he can manage his threat level too. Like we both were like, they gave the man the soundbite of pooping in the ocean. This guy can't win, and he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, he really feels like he should just be the goofball who's going to be here for some entertaining confessionals and then get taken out like at final six or so. But not Survivor 44 said not this season. All that matters is Jam Jam, Carson, and Carolyn, and so they're going to be in the final four together without a doubt. The only big question is if Carson did make it to the end with Jam Jam, does Carson win? That's still kind of a question that isn't really answered in the community. I don't think I've really seen like who wins in that scenario. Which
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I wish that they did live reunions because that would have been a question that we would have gotten. I don't know why else they didn't do that in the 50 reunion because they kind of forgot how to do a live reunion that season. So
Yes, like make sure you don't call someone on
yeah.
before they're eliminated to talk about their elimination.
Yeah. There's a lot of rust that they just I like it genuinely felt like they just didn't know how a live reunion worked anymore. But
Either
yeah,
way,
no,
yeah.
I think that's definitely like I think the biggest question mark with his game is the whole Carson of it all. Could he have beaten him? But yeah, I mean, it's definitely I think the best social game of the new era that we've seen.
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, pretty solid. I had him just a one spot behind D in my ranking.
For me, it was I put Kenzie a little higher,
Yeah, you did.
but I was like, I feel like thing is, there would be like sometimes depending like the thing is we don't have enough data from a lot of people on season 44 because it was mostly
Yeah.
on them to know like all the big, like Heidi was a big one where she's the runner up. And I feel like I knew more about her from talking to her like once at a Bryson Wen and then
Yeah.
seeing her on Vanquish than I did on the season she was in.
Yeah, they didn't really care about Heidi, and they didn't care about anyone besides the Tika Three. Like, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
There were some people who could have been great characters, great entertaining TV, and they just decided, nah, not this season.
No.
Okay, moving on next to number 12, we got Tom Westman. We almost agreed.
I'm not gonna lie, seeing this headshot of him, he almost looks like David Howard Thornton a little bit, but like more like like if do you know who that is?
No.
He's the actor that plays Art the Clown. He
Um,
looks like him, but like if he was like a little buffer.
I gotta look this guy up now because I know Art the Clown, but I don't. What was it?
There's
David what?
David Howard Thornton.
Um,
I don't know,
I mean,
maybe it's just this.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of early pictures, so maybe that's also it. I don't know any.
Maybe it's just the smile a little bit. I don't know.
Uh,
Anyway, so yeah, he was a pretty solid winner. I feel like, granted, the only reason he is not in the top 10 is because of like undeniably the worst tribe in Survivor history. I think you and I can both agree on that.
yeah,
Like, it wasn't like, like, because with at least the like Fiji tribe, with, like in Survivor Fiji, that one had a reason why that team did terribly.
yeah,
The other one just like got extremely decimated. So there was only, till there was only one person left. Um, but yeah, but besides that, I still feel like even if the tribes were more even and there was a merge there, Tom would still probably, especially for his era, be the winner.
yeah. I think as long as his tribe came into the merge with numbers, he was probably always making it to the end of the game and winning. Um, I mean, he wins a bunch of comps to the end. Like he's one of the first real like leader figures, like alpha male figures to win Survivor. Like usually those kind of people are taken out at the merge or right before like final five,
Yeah,
final six, somewhere around there. But he's kind of the first one to manage to, immunity his way at the end as well, socially, strategically, just make sure that he was in the numbers, getting everything done. Very, very good win. But yeah, I agree. Like he kind of just missed out on being a top 10 winner for me because like how the whole pre-merge situation went on, and especially in this time, people aren't really looking to flip on people. um maybe he would have got flipped on too if he lost some of those later challenges. I mean, the one with Ian, like, he's likely to go there. Like, so he has to win. Like, he knows he has to win. That's why he's super like a stickler about like, oh, suddenly smoke started blowing in him. He's like, hey, this isn't part of the challenge. Come on, this can't be a thing. Because if he does drop for any reason, um, it's probably going to be Ian winning the game.
yeah. Well, Ian got some heat, but I don't know if he was like gaslit on the heat of that.
Mhm.
Um, but either way, no, I feel like he was someone where I think he's also a walking example of positive masculinity. I
Mhm.
know like toxic masculinity gets thrown out a lot. This is a man that resembles positive masculinity. Like, yeah, this is a guy that you should inspire to be like. And I think that's the thing too. I feel like, granted, heroes versus villains was a little something else. He just wasn't really with the votes on that one
Mhm.
and was like kind of fighting backwards. But
Mhm.
like, yeah, this guy, he he's someone where he is extremely likable, and I feel like in a lot of seasons, if we're getting him specifically from Palau, I know, like, obviously with Heroes versus Villains, he was a couple years older. But yeah, I
Mhm.
feel like he does end up winning the game or at least makes Final Five if he isn't sniped or
Yeah,
like taken out at the merge.
agreed. Okay, moving on next to number 11, we got John Cochran just missing out on top 10.
Yeah. For me, I'm like, especially when I was making this list, it's like he played a perfect game.
Mhm.
It's hard to, for me, it's like, I think this is another example of like the cast not being the greatest, but he had a pretty dominant game. I feel like out of all the players that were there, that were like the favorites of that, he should have been targeted. They
Mhm.
should have been like, listen, we need to take out Cochran because he clearly is going to win this game, but they don't.
Mhm.
Um, but despite that, he plays a perfect game. He's entertaining when he does it too. They have him sitting on an actual throne, and I feel like he's the Survivor super fan who lives his dream. He was the nerd who got out, and then he came back as a favorite on returning season, played an extremely dominant game, and yeah, so it's hard not to like Cochran and rank him high.
Yeah, I mean, he's not in my top 10, but it's still pretty close to that kind of level here. Obviously, plays a really great game. I definitely do knock for the cast. There's and
That's why,
not the brightest cast that Survivor's ever put together, including fans and favorites. You know,
yeah. The reason that's why he is number 9, by the way. It was like
yeah,
he still played a perfect game,
yeah.
but I was like, even though I like, like I was like, he still played a perfect game, and I'm like, I do like his win more than Aubrey's.
Yeah. This is
Eh,
a hyperbole like scenario, but like if a first boot season happened and someone played a perfect game in a first boot season, we would still be like that was a bad cast though because they all were first boots on a different season. Um, and I mean they brought back first boot and obviously she goes first boot again. But you know no one on the favorites really was that great. I mean even Cochran wasn't like a beloved figure at this point in the Striver community. Like his whole thing was he just flipped in South Pacific, and people were kind of pissed because it cost Aussie the game. Like that was like the casual fan base's reaction.
it is tough for me to say because I wasn't on those forums or like on Facebook during the time of this.
Mhm.
I just was like, oh, here's a nerd who loves Survivor. I'm a nerd who loves Survivor. Win.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to say. And like, so like, especially when it came to like 2015, 2016, and then especially when you and I started like talking a lot about it. That
Mhm.
was more when I got my perception of, like John Cochran. And by that time, he was already, like a legend.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it is the season that does it. But yeah, I just wasn't a huge fan of a lot of the people on it, and I feel like like people probably should have been targeting him and they just didn't. It's always tough when that happens because it's like how like is it because they played a great game to create stop that or were the cast just inept? Like that's
Um,
always the tough decision to like
it
figure out.
can be both.
Yeah,
And I
it
feel like
can.
for him, it might have just been both.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well let's go on and now see who did make it to our combined top 10. We got Yul Kwan just making it.
Yes. The only reason, because like I know John was, or not John, Joe. I have too many friends with J in their name. Uh, Joe, has roasted me a lot, be like, oh, you did this, or it's like, you're not taking into account this, or this. I did take into account because he did have the super idol.
I agree.
And it's like, if he didn't have the super idol, does that alliance make it to the end, because what they had going for them, that underdog alliance,
Mhm.
well, one of the key things was the super idol. And at that point, they didn't really have, like the opposition did not have the numbers to do the split vote strategy that Cowboy suggested. By the way, credit to Yule being like, someone's talking about splitting votes and a potential way to lessen the power of my idol. He has to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean that's a huge reason that he is here. The Super Idol is why I made sure like can't be in the top 5 because I do agree like the Super Idol is very broken and overpowered by its nature. But yeah, Yule manages to take out the person who knew how to do it and was like, let me get this in the bud before he starts spreading that around to everyone. And then he manages to use it in a very good way. I think a lot of players, had they've had this idol, would have not told anyone, would have just waited for the people to vote them, used it, got one person out, and then went out right afterwards. Like, I do think there's a lot of people who would have done that, especially modern players. I think that they would just want the big idol play move. So let me like keep this a secret, get people to vote for me, and then do this. But Yule used it in a way to get people onto his side instead of just using it as the intended advantage. It was a negotiation tactic for Yule,
Yeah.
which was very smart. It was a very unique way to use this advantage. And obviously it worked out. It got people like Penner to flip and work with them again. And then everyone got mad at Penner, so it was like, okay, Penner, that means now it's your turn to go. And like he made it by just simply doing that, he was able to like turn the majority against each other, and then write it out. So yeah, I do think obviously he had the super idol. He did have to find it. It was up to him when he went to exile. He could have not gotten it,
That
uh,
is true.
so it was up to him to be like put in the work to go get it. So so yeah, I still think just a very dominant, very strong win. And yeah, just barely beating Ozzy. But by the way, Ozzy at this time, this was the most impressive physical performance that Survivor had ever seen. And he managed to beat that by strategy in an era where it was more about, like doing good in challenges and social, like you'll really shine in the strategic portion.
Yeah, it was more things to like Yule's credit as well. Yule is one of the people, like, um, I know we're talking about Winners at War. He was the last old school contestant standing before, people were before the, Edge of Extinction twist where someone came back. And I think that does speak a little merit. I think he's something where he's smart and strategic, but he doesn't make moves for the sake of moves. Like he's not like he knows what works, he goes with it. And he's someone where I think like a lot of Survivor players, even if they're not choosing him specifically, but ideally would want to have that like kind of like strategy or like kind
Mm-hmm.
of like have a Yul Quan kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, I put down a lot of times I want to play like Yul Quan. I know that
Mm-hmm.
can't happen to me because of my personality and my dumbassery, but I would like to think, like I think another great thing about Yul,
Mm-hmm.
and this is part of the reason why I'm drawn to him a lot, is the fact he was like, I wanted to get a group of people together and make sure that we all made it to the end. He found his people, he got them to the end,
Yeah.
which I think is really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So good on you there. Definitely a good player. Moving on next to number 9, we got Chris Doherty.
I mean, he is probably the prime example of the underdog winner.
Yeah.
Also, really? Joe, he would have gone home and blah blah, and
What
he
what
just won
what
out.
what's crazy is you're wrong, Ryan. he was so good socially that he got the women to go against each other. He didn't even need those immunities. They would have still taken him to the end. Like even in the final three situation with him, Scout and Twyla. Twyla was scared of Scout because Scout was so liked by the women that she still would have voted out Scout over Chris. Like Chris was so good that he managed, like, yeah, he wins three challenges in the end stretches. He doesn't actually need those challenges. That's the crazy thing about Chris's game.
No, I was just giving you shit for giving me shit.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, because I know most people would be like, top three, what the fuck? But I'm like, I get it for you. Also, I understand you love him. Not like that, but like you love him.
he
As a
he is an insanely amazing winner. Like
he is.
he should have been out on episode 1, but he is so likable that when they get back to camp, he makes a joke about like, oh, I can't do the balance beam, and everyone laughs, and then they just like kind of drop it, and then he's able to get
Yeah.
his Fat Five alliance, which is amazing.
Which I think is great because he was like, listen, usually guys like us get targeted. Let's flip the switch. We're gonna, like we're gonna have the majority here. We're gonna do this.
Mhm.
And then I will say he's someone where he's very real. And I
Mhm.
think that's another thing too. It's like, yeah, sometimes you have to like do the, like lie, manipulate, and stuff like that. And like obviously at tribal, you can't put all your cards on the table, all that stuff. But like he's very real and upfront. And then also gave a pretty like honest like tribal final council. Like for me, like when Sarge, is like kind of like talking to him and being like, why should I even vote for you because of this and this? He's like, listen, I get it, man. And if you don't vote for me, that is fine. But he was just in that moment so like true and direct and not even like, but like it's hard to put in the words how like, like he's just so genuine. And like,
See, I think
yeah.
the opposite actually. I think he is a great bullshit artist. I think he is so good at knowing exactly what each person on that jury wanted to hear, and he went exactly to it, and it didn't matter if he was being genuine in that moment. I think he was just like, I know that what Sarge wants to hear is that this wasn't about the game. Like, let's have a beer. Like, let's do all this thing. Julie, I know, like we had such a deep connection. So, but like it hurt me so much to take you out. Oh my gosh, Julie, that was the toughest decision. Like but he sells it so well that everyone buys hook, line, and sinker everything he says to every single person on that jury.
Fuck, maybe I did. But like, no, I think that's the thing. But in order to convince people that you have to have that likability factor. And he has that.
Yeah.
Um, I think he's another one where I would have loved to have seen him play again. I don't
Yeah.
know what the reason why he was
Oh,
never considered to come.
it's so obvious, right? It's so obvious
Well,
that Jeff Probst fucking hates this guy.
oh yeah, is it because he took out his crush?
Yeah, Julie, who then Jeff dated after the show, but he was so mad. Like he fucking dogged on Chris at the final show. It's just like talking about how you can't believe a thing that this guy says. Like he was like going all in on like how much of a manipulator Chris is. Which like nowadays he will be like, yeah. But like at the time it definitely felt like he was just bitterly attacking Chris.
What you gonna do? Young love.
Yeah, yeah. But
Well, I mean, also it's like, hey, you and Julie haven't been together forever. Like, Chris? I think he's too old now.
yeah. Yeah, I mean Jeff definitely I mean when Julie came in with the heart with Jeff on, I think Jeff was like, this is the person who needs to win this season.
Yeah. I saw the video of like just how disappointed he looked and fed up when it happened.
Yeah, yeah. He was not happy, but I mean, Chris just played such a very dominant game. It's kind of insane. It's definitely one of the craziest underdog stories in the history of Survivor. And
I agree.
and yeah, he wins challenges, but like as I said, you take those challenges away, and he still does that. Like he still set himself up in a situation where other people were constantly going after the each other in the women's alliance. Um, and I mean, in a way, it makes sense for the women. The jury is going to be mostly comprised of women. Like, if you actually
Yeah.
sit next to the guy, in theory, like the women should be, like you should be getting the votes of the other women. You've been on a tribe together, you've been working together for so long. Um, but Chris is just literally. I do think it is at least top three final tribal council performances of all time.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Okay, moving on next to number 8, we got Sarah Lucina.
Yeah. Uh I do give All-Star seasons a little bit more cred because it is a little trickier because everyone knows your game. I think she's another good sleeper threat where like was she like always controlling things? Maybe not. But the moments that really stood out to me, one, because she had the steal a vote and it
Mhm.
couldn't be transferred. And she called out people on their vote. She was like, all right, I'm gonna give it to someone. Hopefully they don't read it. And then they fell for the trap and she was like, actually, it's not transferable. That's only for me. Just doing it like a boss. Also getting the legacy advantage from Sierra by like after Sierra revealed like yeah I have it was also smart. She played a pretty she played like a like first season played like a cop, second season played like a criminal, but even she played like I would maybe like a dirty cop, like in the sense of like all right, I know all this stuff. You can't get out of the cop mindset. However, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And she was able to navigate her way to the end.
Yeah, I think she definitely benefited from Tony also getting taken out early on.
Yeah.
I think a world where Tony and her link up at some point would have put a huge target on her, especially if Tony's on the jury. I think that that would definitely been tough. So she does definitely, get lucky in that aspect.
To I will say to some degree because they did technically happen in Winners at War. So I'm like, at the time, yes, but at Winners at War, it was like, well, they were like very very close and both made it, but Game Changers was an entirely different beast.
Yeah, but I don't think she has that killer instinct to take out someone like Tony. Like like she wasn't wanting to pull the trigger anytime in the middle of the game when Tony wasn't immune. Because she had that bond to him. So I think something similar probably would have happened where Tony would have probably done a lot of the big spotlight kind of situations. But yeah, it's a great game. Obviously managing to trick Sierra is like I think that's actually her game winning move because otherwise she goes home at 6 instead of the advantage get in situation, you know. Like
Yeah.
she needed that legacy advantage, otherwise it's going to, she's on the chopping block and probably going home. um so yeah, definitely good on her on that aspect. But yeah, I mean, she does also sit next to Brad Culpepper, who wins a lot of challenges, terribly social and strategic though, like one of the worst players in that aspect. And then there's Troyzan, who I guess he was there.
Yeah,
uh,
we didn't get too much love from Choisan from that side. And then, yeah, it was just like, even during FTC, he did not even. I think they had like a moment where it was like, yeah, no, I'm not winning. And then like a little applause for him for taking it on the chin.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I think he ended the season with like 8 confessionals.
which is bad.
Yeah, so like yeah, it sits next to the right people. I mean, I think she even beats Ty. I do think that that's still probably something that happens as well. Um Aubrey, you know, we don't see as much of Aubrey this season, but I do think she would have been a tougher person for Sarah to beat had Aubrey made it to the end. And then obviously
Yeah,
final six, if Sheree makes it to the end, Sheree's beating everyone there. Um
yeah,
so I mean, she can't beat. I guess the final five, final six situation. So, two people who could potentially beat her. That's definitely a bit of of like a issue in terms of like it had to go like this. Especially the advantage getting like that. That is the toughest thing for me, like in ranking her. Like I can't rank her like super high because it really it was just kind of a bad format at this time where the producers just didn't realize that they put in too many advantages that literally forced someone to get eliminated. Like they just didn't think
yeah,
that they just didn't think that this was a thing. And we see the impact of this later on where they start making temporary idols because they realize like, oh shit, we can't let that happen again.
yeah,
Let's do a bunch of temporary idols now just to kind of prevent it.
yeah. That was intense, and I mean, like, it is tough to say how that would. I would say that it didn't Im it didn't put any I didn't put that into consideration for the win. Granted, it's an iconic moment and stuff, but when I was like ranking Sarah Lucina, I was like, she did get that advantage. And it was like, yes, it was at final six where, oh, she had to play it. So I'm like, speaking it out loud, it didn't really right now. It's like, well, she would still have it for advantage again because that's how the legacy idol worked.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
That
that's
was
what,
the only time in the game she would have been able to play it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's why the legacy advantage just sucks. Is anything that has like a very narrow use to use, it's not great.
I
But
agree.
But yeah, I mean, regardless though, I do think Lucina is a very good social player. Like that is something
Yeah.
that she's very good at. And we see it in Winners at War, I think more so where she's like, I'm the social part, Tony's the crazy, strategic brains kind of situation. Um, and she's like, you can win at the end though if you're just social. And I mean, that's what we see. That's what we see in this season. You know, she sits next to two people who are not very good socially, and she wins it because of it.
Also, to go up to Jeff, not go up to Jeff, but like in Winners of War, being like, hey, you only call, men by their surname. Maybe you should call me Lucina. I do feel like well, both names are great, but Sarah Lucina rolls off the tongue. That's why we say
Yeah,
both on this channel. Like she was like,
yeah,
yeah, to honor both. But
mhm.
yeah, to also have that authority over
Yeah. It's like
over
fucking use my last name, bitch.
it's also, I would say, it could also be like a cop thing as well, because
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I digress.
I mean, it's been a pretty popular like known thing that Jeff always says his favorite player's last name. Like that's just kind of always been a thing. He
Yeah.
says Mariano, Sesternino, Devins, Cochran, like all these are like Jeff.
Wayne.
Yeah, exactly. These are all Jeff Probst's favorite player kind of picks. So
But yeah. But yeah.
okay. Okay,
Except for
moving.
Christina here.
Yeah, yeah. Moving on next to number 7, we got J
Several.
JT Thomas. It's not Jelinski.
All right. I'm curious why he's number 12 for you.
So I mean I think he plays a very solid game, obviously. Perfect game. The first perfect game. Um I just think it's a little bit of right season, right time for JT here. Um I think had the season happened in a more modern setting, I think, and it's JT versus Steven at the end. I think Steven gets a lot more credits. I think, because it happened in season 18, JT ends up kind of being, like the more likable person in that situation, and they're not really happy with Steven and his more strategic gameplay that we kind of saw. Um, but like it's still a solid game. By the way, he's right next to Cochran, who also played a perfect game. Like I actually put them both in like the same area because they both played pretty dominant games, but I think that his season specifically kind of like it worked out for him in a way that I just don't know how would it translate to a more modern setting.
It's, I would say it is tough to say because we have seen him in 34, but we're not going to see him again.
Yeah.
But like especially if we're going strictly like first time, there's so many variables that play a
Mhm.
factor in that. More often or not, I'm like, well, you kind of have to give a little bit to the givens of the situation. He was the first ever like he played that first ever perfect game, which I think is something that does hold some merit. He
Mhm.
also was able to come from that underdog situation,
Mhm.
kind of like which is like coming from a disaster tribe and even going in without the numbers. Now, granted, the other tribe they had some aggression and like stuff to get rid of, but he was also being able to use that to his advantage to get further into the game as well. Um, and I feel like there was this likability about him. Like, and then by the time like they wanted to target JT, it was too late because it was like, oh well, now he's winning challenges and we can't take a shot at him.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think uh I think that's maybe another reason why I rank him where he is. He was the perfect winner for
Mhm.
that time, I think, as
Yeah.
well. And I
Yeah.
think like he encapsulates that era a little bit. Well, I mean, there's one other person that I think does it a little better.
Mhm.
But we'll get to them in a bit.
Yeah. I mean, 12 is still a great spot. Like
Yes,
it's not like I put him in the low 20s or 30s or God forbid 42.
42. What dumbass would do that?
I know, right? That's just crazy. But but yeah, I mean, it's a very solid win. I mean, yeah, obviously we know what happens the next two times he comes on, and it's we we
Very
we
much diminishing returns.
yeah, every time more strategic thinking kind of had to take the forefront. It did not do well for him. The more strategic the seasons got.
Nah, it did not.
I mean, yeah, he also I think he needed a Steven Fishback to like be the brains. If he doesn't link up with a Steven Fishback, I think he's going to have a little more trouble. I think he needs someone to help guide him through certain parts of the game.
Yes and no, but I digress.
What's making you disagree?
The only thing is, it's like Michael could have told him that giving his idol away would have been a stupid idea because that
Mhm.
was a public thing. It was like, hey, yeah, you can have this. Um, and I feel like there were some circumstances in both of his seasons where, okay, he was a little bit on the bottom, but JT he was able to swing it a little bit in Heroes versus Villains, where they were like, you know what? All right, we'll keep JT around. Um, and then like if he didn't do that idle thing, there is a world where he makes another deep run.
Mhm.
Um, so I will say it's like he made a very risky move and then it didn't pan out. And maybe he was overcompensating that a little bit more in Game Changers.
Mhm.
Because, like, yeah, I think we both agree Game Changers, Yeah, he just kind of lost his magic there. But I
Yeah.
feel like in Heroes versus Villains, there is a world where he makes a deep run. Win, maybe not, but deep run potentially.
Yeah, I mean, he needed a Stephen Fishbach though to tell him not to give the idol to some person that you've never met.
He just tried to do that.
Yeah. uh, okay, moving on next to number 6, we got Todd Herzog. Now you explain why he's number 13.
Why is he at 13? Well, 13 is a great spot. Uh, I think that was a pretty strong season. Maybe like, all right, so I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes challenge wins and stuff like that will play like a factor into some of the rates. Like, oh, if they've won challenges as well, that also gets some pluses for me. Um, where, like, let me just talk about the good stuff about him because like it's hard to think of like things that like didn't work out well for him. I would say like the only thing is like maybe the challenge thing. But like no, played a pretty strong game, had a pretty good grasp on the situation of everything, was likable, had a good story going out there, and knew the right people to align with, make it forward. But I'm gonna let you start talking a little bit because I feel like you may be a little angry.
I'm not angry. I'm just a little disappointed. So Todd, I think is play has the best number one overall best Final Tribal Council performance in the history of Survivor. I do think he goes into Final Three in a situation where it's anyone's game, and he just completely makes everyone like a whole bunch of people just be like, well, we got to vote for Todd now. Todd deserves this win. But I think he also does very well in terms of social and strategic domination. Like most things are happening through him. He is the mastermind of blindsiding James with 2 idols in his pockets. Like that's a huge historic move, and that is off the back of Todd being able to come up with it and put it into motion. Um, Essentially making it where Idol's now out of the game, and now his group can essentially just run the season to the very end. But yeah, and overall, just like he is someone who, after watching this season, it sucks that he never came back to play because I think he could come back and do what he did this season again and again and again. Like I think it's a very replicatable game, and it's a dominant replicatable game. Like I can see him being on almost any tribe, um, and finding a great footing where he has a lot of control.
Yeah, it is a little unfortunate. I know like outside events and like real
Yeah.
world affected that. I think Todd has the thing where it's like he could get over the winner stank where it's like, well, sometimes when you have it's like, oh, he's a winner that we can't let them get to the end. Um I feel like he's one where he knows his stuff. And the thing is, it's like the only argument I have against that, he's known for being a great winner. So it's like he will have that against him, but I think
Mhm.
like he does have the social game to like kind of like find his way.
Mhm.
Um I will say the downside of that might be the fact like, oh, he might win. And then it's like, all right, well, he'll need something to make sure that he gets through because it's like, nah, we gotta cut Todd at like 5 or 6 or like around there. It's like if he makes it, he wins.
Yeah, it's a shame he wasn't on Winners at War because I think that would have been a
Mhm.
great season for him to come back when, because that's like it almost has the like first time for a lot of those winners. Like it almost feels like, okay, the biggest hurdle for why a winner should never come back on the Survivor kind of gets stripped away on that season. And so it was
Yeah.
like kind of a way to like level the playing field in that aspect. So it's unfortunate that Todd kind of didn't get it beyond that season where it would have just kind of come down to your social and strategic navigation. But yeah, I'd still love to see Todd. If Todd comes back in the open air, I'd be super happy for him.
I agree. Also, shout out to his Todd's Pop Shop.
Mhm.
He does a lot of incredible work and stuff. Uh, like you don't even have to buy anything from him. You should because
Mhm.
it's really cool and it's like a custom pop.
Yeah.
But like he'll do whatever. He took my crazy ass idea and he's like, okay, I'm going for it.
Mhm.
Um, but like like even if you just follow his page, you can see all the cool stuff he makes. And he doesn't just do reality comp stuff. He'll also do like well, I mean it's custom stuff, so he'll do whatever you want.
Mhm. Yep.
But yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that's Todd number 6 in our combined rankings. Now we're going to the
Before
top
we go
5.
into the top five, I have to say every time you say yup yup, my brain is like yip yip from Avatar.
Okay, yep, yep. Okay, yep, 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 yep. Okay, here we go. Top 5, Ryan. Let's get serious. This is the real deal here.
All right, serious.
Okay, yeah, yeah. There you go. That's acting school paying off for you. Okay, number 5, we
Thank you.
got Kim Spradlin.
Why did I put it?
I think I may have messed up. I don't think you actually put her that low.
Yeah, because I'm like, there's
Yeah,
no way
I
heaven
de-
or
I I,
earth.
de- I definitely messed up. If you want to look up and find on your end,
This was almost by design. It was like, oh no, this is it was like, all right, I was gonna be serious for this one, then you threw me such a huge curveball.
yeah, I'm sorry on that. I definitely must have forgotten to change something. I don't know how he got 39. Um,
Yeah,
I'm
she would have
trying
been at seventh place.
to. Oh, so you're
Yeah.
several.
Oh wait, for me,
Yeah.
she is at where the hell is she? No, she's at number five for me.
Okay. Okay. So we got Kim Spradlin here.
Yes. Look at Joe trying to steal my number five. Anyway, um, solid dominant game throughout. Also, first she was like, "Hey, let's have all the women make it to the end." And for the most part, it happened. Like it may have happened one episode sooner, but Kat got a little too big for her britches. But played pretty dominantly. Even going into Winners at War, they were like, "Oh, Kim's a huge threat," and still made it decently far despite having that, like that's the, like kind of having that reputation. Played pretty dominantly. Knew, like like controlling the vote, and it didn't even feel like we should get rid of Kim. Now, granted, she kept winning immunity, so it was hard too, but like she was just like the pillar of that group, and so yeah, just made it work.
Yeah. So she was your number 5. She was my number 7.
Several.
Several. Yeah, I mean, very dominant game. I have heard just one spot above Boston Rob, where I think they played very similar games with bad casts, but whereas Boston Rob controlled through fear, Kim controlled through love and had more of a positive reaction for everyone around her. Um, but the only person who even remotely had a brain on the season besides her was Troyzan, and he had no brain on Game Changers. So that's a real representation of who she was playing against on the season. Um,
Yeah.
but like it is
Um,
it is a very dominant game, so that's why she is in a top 10 for me because she just kind of runs the gambit from start to finish.
and she's someone too where it's like she's just one of those. She's like one of the prime examples of like when you go on the when you go on and you see the cast of like who do you hope to play, like there's a reason like she's one of the more common names that you see thrown around. It's because she does play a great, like even in the or community, like they're like, oh, if they're like Kibs Brandlin, it was like, oh, that must mean they're like good. She just has this like her name carries weight
Yeah, I mean,
to
you
it.
look at her and you just immediately go like, yeah, she's gonna be good at Survivor. Like she's gonna be
Yes.
good in challenges. She looks like she's gonna be very likable. There's just a lot going for her.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, very very good player. Obviously, well deserved to be in the top 5.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on next to number 4, we got Tony Vlaco set in his Cagayan game.
Yeah. He it's the first time we see Tony. Obviously, it's the won't be the last because
Yeah,
he won a second.
yeah,
But obviously, Winners at War Tony was his best. That was the magnum opus of Tony. But like in this one, he's just entertaining through and through. Like watching
mhm,
it was like you don't care if he wins or not. He's just like good TV. Um, and then he's a character and he's a character that wins, which I think is always a great balance. Or not a great balance, which I think is hard to do. But he does it well.
mhm.
Um, and his bag of tricks, being very vocal about it. He found the super idol and like, even when it was deactivated, still used it to his advantage so votes wouldn't go his way. And I think one of the most iconic things is, convincing Wu to take him to the end, which
Yeah,
I still can't wrap my head around why Wu did that, other than like honor and integrity. But at the same time, it's like, do
yeah,
you really think you have less honor integrity than Cass?
yeah,
I mean, Cass played a solid game too, but it was like, I think you win that one, bud.
yeah. I have Tony at number 10. Now you have clearly, spoiler alert, Tony is your top 2 wins of all time, both of them. This is the game that I think he should not have won this season. Like there is so many things where he should have lost this season. Remember one of the worst moves that he did. It's I guess it's not really a move, it's just a moment when his tribe wins immunity and he goes top 5 baby, top 5, and he's like, getting and he gets a bunch of people mad at him at that moment. Like yeah, he's able to like kind of get out of that and get that stigma gone, but yet again, he has so many of these moments where he's like just poking the bear over and over again, um, in ways that probably should have resulted in his elimination. The Super Idol also can't. I could not put him in the top 5 because of the Super Idol. I do think just having any ability where you can now play knowing that you can't be the next one gone, it just changes how you play Survivor. Um,
Maybe, but at the same time, it never came into play. I don't know. I feel like
it's not about always playing. It's about the
I
idea.
will say it's
Yeah.
like, yes, it does change your mindset.
Mhm.
However, typically it changes your mindset in a bad way because it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I can make mistakes and get a little sloppy,
I think he does.
but
I think he plays a very more aggressive game, and it is sloppy, but it is people assume like okay, well we can take him out at 4 or something when well, like later on. Never ends up happening. But I do think that there is a world where had he not had the super idol, maybe he's not making as many moves, maybe he's trying to he has to sit back a little bit, or it would have eventually gotten him to a point where he would have gotten votes. But like just overall, like every round, it's like it should be Tony being in danger, and it just like he's doing so much, and that's the issue with this game. It's not that this game is like this game is so fun, man. This game is so fun to watch, but it is
oh yeah.
not a game that can be replicated. You can't play this game again. That is a huge problem with this.
He tried to turn it, he tried to go Super Saiyan 2 Tony, and then like they were like,
Yeah,
no, you're
yeah.
burying yourself in the ground and stuff.
Yeah,
He's
because
gotta go.
Tony's Winners at War Game is so different than this. Like, yeah, he makes big moves in that season, but it is so much more of a grounded, level-headed
Yeah.
Tony than this season where he is, calling Casalama, like he's doing so. Yeah, he's doing like that is stuff that is not like a great look for a winner. It's so fun.
I think
No,
that's another
not.
thing too. He, despite all of that, he still wins. Because he was able to.
Well,
He also he had to overcome a lot, and I think that's another thing too. Why it was like because he did whatever it took to get to the end. He swore on, like
mhm.
even if you are, like even in like new era slash open era, it's like most people don't swear to things like that because it's like that's just something you don't jinx. And like I still think in life that still kind of holds some weight. Swearing on, your mother, like any like figure, or any like close like person in your life, swearing on them is still like, um, but like despite that, and like he was grilled hard like at tribal council for that, like
Yeah.
especially with like Trish. It was just like, it was like I took that shit very personally. Um, despite that, he was able to make it, and also like doing things like the Spy Shack, where like like he was always playing the game, and he was always like thinking of stuff, and like yeah, so Tony's just up there. He's just great.
Yeah, I mean, if we were going based off of entertainment value and that's the only thing, yeah, of course. He's like right
Uh,
there.
well, I mean, like if this was just entertainment value, I mean, like
Yeah.
yeah, he'd still be up here. But like like he had more to it. He's a character, but also really great at the game.
Yeah, but like I said, I think especially when you see the Winners at War Game, you look back on this season, and I mean, if we were grading every single thing that he did, he has like X's that you got to put where you're like, ooh, that's not great. Ooh, that's not great. Ooh, that's not great. He wins, yeah, but if the point is just win the game, then everyone should just be number one because all these people won the game. He had like you have to look at every single like micro mistake to
All
figure
right.
out your list.
Micro mistakes can be like it's the ones that stick out. Now, granted, I did not rewatch everything before I made this list.
Mhm.
So it's a little different than when we ranked all 40 things because at that time I've watched everything at least twice. So it's like it's a little trickier. But, I still put him at number 2 and I stand by it.
Okay. Well, on to number 3 here. We got Jeremy Collins. Yet again,
No,
mistake here.
yeah, I'm like the
Mistake
math is
here.
clearly not
Mistake.
mathing.
Mistake here.
To
If you want.
quote the great Danny Mora Howard, sloppy and unprofessional.
Let's see. So I had him at my number 5 spots.
I had him at 6.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, How the hell did you get those numbers from this, Joe?
I think it was because I redid the one of the lists. Like I copied the list over, so I guess I just didn't. I thought I changed it here, and I guess it didn't.
Anyway, roast Joe in the comments.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so yeah, Jeremy came into second chances. His story was so great going into it. Like he's someone where he has this reputation going into second chance where it was like, oh, he was the leader that was taken out at the merge. And he had to overcome that. And then also hiding in that like secret of like having a child along the way as well. But he just played a dominant game where it's like it all went through Jeremy
Mhm.
throughout a lot of the game. And he didn't have to win all the challenges. He didn't have to do this or that. He stood ground. Um gosh. There's so much of that like game where it was like, yeah, like there were times where he lost, but even when he lost, he still knew like he still was in control. And I know there was like
Mhm.
a there was a bit of like a dad alliance that was going on, and I know like he was like one of the lead or he was in it. But despite what was kind of like thrown his way, he was still able to make it through.
Yeah, I mean, he also coined the term the meat shield, kind of
Yes.
the first one to really like put a name, a label onto that. And I mean, the only person who would have beaten him in the end is Wentworth. That was kind of like the whole thing was whoever won that Final Four immunity basically won the game, and whoever lost, went out. So that's kind of like I guess the only time that he was going to be really gone. I mean, he also used the idol to negate some votes. If you so in a way he plays a perfect game if you don't count those votes as part of it. So it's like oh, perfect game with
It's
an asterisk.
yeah. And I know like even in the survivor community, it some people debate it. I'm more on the side of like, yeah, I think the asterisk there is like technically he did, but he did receive those that were negated.
Mhm.
Um, so it's not like a true perfect game, but it is still a perfect game.
Yeah.
Just for that simple reason. But yeah, and like I said, anyone who plays a perfect game, I think, well, they did something, so I feel like they got to be high up on the rankings as a result. And I think Final Tribal Council, he let it out. He put it all on the table as well. And then the fact that he had the right people that he needed to get to the end too, because at that point Spencer lost all credibility. Not many people were looking at Tosh very, very, like I don't want to say greatly, but like I don't think the edit was really on her and what people were like thinking. It was mostly like on Jeremy and then like Spencer getting trashed and then obviously Wentworth.
Mhm.
So like but like he put everything there and then like the nail in the coffin was the kid along the way. And then like that's just an iconic moment that he had to help hold it in and he couldn't tell anybody that because he didn't want that to, like put a
Yeah.
target. I don't know also, but it's like it's good for keeping you may be good at keeping a secret, but especially when there's so much around there and you've like bonded with people for that long, people that
Yeah.
you're close to, it's like something that you almost want to say, but it's like you cannot. You can only say it to the confessional and stuff.
Yeah, especially because I mean, there's so much small talk. Like that's honestly one of my fears of being on a show like Survivor or Big Brother is you have to be having so much small talk about every little facet of your life, basically. So to have something like that you can't touch, you have to almost try to pretend that it doesn't even exist when talking to people. Definitely tough. But I mean, he does control a good portion of this game. Like he is a very dominant winner. Um, like we kind of get to see San Juan del Sur Jeremy in a way where like San Juan del Sur Jeremy was this big leader, going to do big things. He gets taken out way too early. We kind of now get to actually see San Juan del Sur Jeremy Collins here, where he is able to, you know, get further, get his footholds into the merge better and have his meat shields like Joe, like Steven Fishback, Kelly Wentworth. Like he's got so many people that he just keeps kind of putting in front of him to make sure that he gets another round, another vote through. Using his idol to save Steven Fishback, which
So
is
loyalty, like at
yeah.
Tribal, Fishback was like, we're locked. Well, obviously, it didn't say locked in because that phrase was not
Mhm.
coined back then. It
Yeah.
was like, oh, we're locked in, we're good. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And that's like to get someone like Steven Fishback also to then be on the jury and fighting for you, like at the Ponderosa and all that stuff. I mean, that's so important. Like you gotta figure out who's going to have a lot of say and just overall talk power on Ponderosa. That's the person you want in your corner.
agreed, agreed.
Yeah. Okay, number two. Let's see if I did this right, or if we're gonna have to look the number two up in here as
I
well.
mean, there's only so many ways we could.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm worried, but we're gonna
I'm
see
pretty
here.
sure. I'm pretty sure our top two are boring
Yeah, I mean,
in the
everyone
sense of,
knows who the top two are.
yeah,
But let's
it's either
see.
Parvati or Tony, and
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
it's going to be poverty.
I
Let's
know,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have it's reversed because I had Tony as number two.
No, you had Tony Flacco's winners at war at 40. Your number one.
No, you have it reversed as in I have her at number four and you have her at number two.
I have her in my winner rankings at number four.
So do I.
Oh, then I guess it puts her at two for you. I guess that's what happened there.
Sloppy.
Yeah.
Uh but yes, Parvati Shallow. Yeah, she may have almost went home first if it wasn't for fair play volunteering, but her and her Black Widows, they redefined what it was like to have a dominant alliance in the game. And not
Mhm.
just like dominant straight up numbers, but dominance in the straight up like strategy as well. And it was like her, like you had her, Amanda, and Suri just like playing everyone like a fiddle, basically. And then it's them at the end. The only reason I don't place her a little higher, and this is the only little nitpicky thing I do, it's like if it was a traditional Final Three, I think Suri wins. Um,
That's true.
However, Parvati is something like she didn't get all the attention in Cook Islands. She obviously like we didn't get to see her like cook in the sense of like her like true strategic like mind and stuff. We didn't get to see too much of that. We got glimpses and stuff of like, oh, flirting and using that to her advantage.
Mhm.
This time I was like, oh, she's more than just flirt. She's got a lot of brains there. Granted, flirting is part of it,
Mhm.
but like even when you get to the end, she's still like in a very strong position. And she's another, granted it's Survivor, Australian Survivor, and they did a Brit. I don't want to discredit her second win because she deserves it. Oh, it's just what the game makers decided to do for that season.
Mhm.
But yeah, she is a threat through and through.
Yeah,
Also well rounded.
yeah, I mean, she ruined the chances for so many cute, flirty girls in the future of Survivor because then they all are called Parvati 2.0, and it stems from the season. Like they're like she's Parvati 2.0, and she's gonna create the Black Widows Brigade. Like they do that just so many girls have fallen because they're so afraid of this season playing out in their own seasons. um and it's definitely I mean there just kind of felt like there's never a moment in this game where Parvati was in danger. She just kind of just dominated the game. Like
Yeah.
the biggest tough I guess is like early on when the favorites are kind of like trying to figure out, and is she going to get into the right numbers, and then when she does, I mean, it's pretty much a she's just always controlling the numbers, always got her people, always getting the guys to think that she's with them, and then bam 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 takes them out. So I mean, it is a very just dominant game from pretty much the start to the finish.
Yeah. Um it's just she's just Parvati.
Yeah.
Everyone it's like there's not really like it's been talked to death, like, but for good reason.
Hmm.
It's like if like I know like obviously our top people might be like cliche picks, but they're cliche for a reason. They're
Hmm.
like Parvati's legacy goes even beyond just like Survivor. It's like people who are like that know about like reality competition shows, even if Survivor's not their main thing, they know Parvati. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah. And that's just how iconic she is.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, number two here, just missing out on the number one spots. Now, hopefully I did number one correctly. But
I
regardless, we know that
I
we both put him at number one.
I want to see. I want to see if you messed up for like the 18th time.
It this would be what, number four, three or four?
I don't know, but
Yeah.
let's see.
Okay. Okay, there we go.
Okay,
We
but
got
I know we
yeah.
yeah we both have him as number one, and we talked about it a little bit, but like played a dominant game. Like he understood what he needed to do, and he
Mhm.
was like, "Yeah, I put myself on probation, especially in the pre-merge, because I did not want people to be like, oh, Tony is that." He, also was a huge goofball. Like, I'm gonna fight a shark. I'm gonna build one of the most craziest ladders in the history of the world. That should not have worked. I'm
Yeah.
gonna climb the trees. And then when he gets into the merge, it's like that Rock Lee scene in Naruto where he just puts the weights down and then he just goes to town, and then it's like, oh, he's playing too hard, but like he's not, but like he's so obviously going to win and in charge of everything, but he's not getting but he's never the big target, like he's
Yeah.
controlling people. And then I think the thing that like really puts him at number one, I think it's probably the best episode of Survivor, or like best played episode of like Survivor, is him with the fire tokens. He's given a disadvantage and he's like, all right, if I need 8 fire tokens in order to get this advantage, I'm gonna do it.
It's not to
He's
get an
able.
advantage. It is because he's being extorted and he has to do it
Yeah.
just to be able to compete in the challenge and just to compete in the immunity challenge.
Wait, he didn't also get an advantage for it?
No, no, no. His advantage was he gets to compete in the challenge with no advantage for
Okay.
it.
Yeah, he got extorted,
Yeah.
and then was able to get the fire tokens for it, and then was able to win that challenge and even return one of those fire tokens. It was like,
Yeah.
like a classic. And then makes it to the end, goes into fire against his rival, wins, has a very nice touching moment there. And then at Final Tribal Council just puts it all on the table. And it's like undeniable that he deserves to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great Final Tribal Council performance. Like, he is getting the entire jury to laugh, and they're all having a good time, hooting and hollering, and all of his antics and all that kind of stuff. Very different from his Cagayan Final Tribal, where everyone's kind of mad at him. This one, everyone's just thinks that what he did was amazing, and they're like, "How do we let this happen?" Basically.
Yeah,
um,
it,
yeah,
it very much is.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Ben had the potential to throw a wrench in Tony winning this game if he just didn't ask to get voted out of Final Five. Well, like genuinely, he goes to Final Four. He goes in a fire against Tony. Tony loses. Ben gets third place and gets ridiculed by everyone. But Sarah probably wins the season in that situation. That's genuinely like the only route that Tony really loses this game.
Yeah. Um, but he's still like he is another two-time winner. And yeah, I know some people discredit because like, well, they're all winners, so someone's gonna be a two-time winner. But it's the way he does it that I think makes him stand out. If it was like a season 50-ish type of deal, or like where the season was kind of like a little chaotic and stuff, people would discredit the win. But it's just the way he goes about it and how he takes some of the best players of all time, and he like goes in, plays a Tony game, but like Tony evolved and ends up getting the win.
Yeah, exactly. It's very impressive. If you notice, Sandra, the other two-time winner, her 2 wins were ranked in her bottom 25.
Yeah.
Tony's 2 wins are ranked in the top 5.
It says something
Uh-huh.
a little bit about us, but like also like, it's
Yeah.
just
I mean, it's just,
this isn't too different from what other people would put him as.
yeah, I mean, the thing is that he just has so much strategic control and agency. Like that's the thing. He has so much agency in these 2 seasons. Whereas someone like Sandra needs other people to just let her kind of get to the end and then, hope that she's in kind of like the doomsday scenarios where people just don't want to vote for the other people that she's up against. Tony can get to the end with a lot of people and win because he's the one dictating how a lot of the game is being played.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that is
Well,
going
that
to
is
do
it,
it.
y'all. This
Okay.
one was a lot less painful.
Ryan, you fucking terrible choices, terrible decisions. All of them. Every single one, even the ones we agreed on.
Hey. We're not talking about my life, okay? We're talking about Survivor. Anyway, but yes, this was a lot of fun. I am excited to see what the open era brings. A little nervous because I don't know
Yeah.
the track record of things, but I want to be optimistic. But and it's interesting to see who will join our winners list and who will rank who. And then also if Joe will still be angry if I don't put Chris Underwood at number 60.
It's something for you to think about next time.
I got about 5 years to do so.
Yeah. Maybe you'll come around. Maybe you'll come around. I think
All
you
right.
will. I think you will. Okay. Well, that's going to do it here on this episode. Stay tuned for more Brant Steele simulations coming at you. And yeah, we will see you all in the next one.
Peace out.